Hey guys, it's John. Today I'm going to talk a bit about the third tone in Mandarin. Most people can pronounce the four tones in isolation. One of our students recently said she had been ma-ing for 10 years with no problem, but she still struggles with sounding unnatural when she's speaking. So those four tones that you learn in your first Chinese lesson are called the four canonical tones. Canonical because that's how they're pronounced in isolation, outside of any context. But the thing with tones is that when you put them into a context, they tend to change. And sometimes they change in very big, obvious ways, and sometimes they change in subtle ways. And the third tone is only pronounced in its canonical form very rarely. In context, that is, in normal speech, it changes in two main ways. So let's take a look at those. Unfortunately, the half-third tone is something that's not talked about very often in textbooks. In fact, Ula Ling at Hacking Chinese did a survey of textbooks and found out that most of them don't even mention it. That's a real shame because it's a major key to natural-sounding pronunciation. The canonical third tone starts low, dips lower, and then rises.
洗, 鱼, 烤.
Some people call it the falling rising tone. But in context, in real speech, it's not pronounced that way very often. It's really only pronounced that way if you're trying to emphasize something, or maybe if the third tone falls at the end of a sentence or phrase. Most of the time, it's pronounced either as the half-third tone or just as a low tone. The half-third tone starts low and dips down, but doesn't rise back up the way the full canonical third tone does. Let's listen to a few examples of a third tone followed by a first, second, or fourth tone syllable.
喜, 喜欢. 鱼, 语言. 考, 考试.
Okay, this one is a fairly simple rule. When there are two third tones in a row, the first one becomes a second tone. It would be really awkward to pronounce two half-third tones in a row, so the first one changes to make things flow better. One of the first words that most people learn is 你好. 你好. Just think about how awkward it would sound to say 你好, 你好. However, when you get more than one third tone in a row, things start to get a little trickier. Which ones become second tone and which ones stay the third tone? Well, it depends on a few things, like where the word boundaries are and what you're trying to emphasize. I know the temptation is to look for some perfect rule that can guide you, but the rule in this case really is, it depends. The reason you can't have a perfect rule is that there are just too many possible scenarios. So the best thing to do is to listen to what native speakers do. If you come across a sentence with a series of third tones and you're not sure which syllables need to change to second, ask a native speaker to read it aloud for you. If it's different from what you expected, ask them why they did it the way they did, or even why they didn't do it the way you were expecting. Be prepared though, they may say that they don't know, that it's just what sounds right to them. And that's a perfectly valid answer. The important thing is to keep listening and imitating, because the only way to develop clear, natural-sounding pronunciation is to listen and imitate. If you like this video, please subscribe, and if you want to dive in deeper with your Mandarin pronunciation, you can sign up for our Mandarin Pronunciation and Accent Masterclass. We not only teach you the kind of thing that I covered in this video, but I'll also teach you some techniques that you can use to develop an authentic or even native-like accent in Mandarin. If you're interested, there's a discount code and link in the description.